Nobody really expected this season to feel so different. For years, Bridgerton was the kind of show people returned to for comfort, for elegance, for predictable romance wrapped in silk gowns and candlelight. It was escapism you didn't have to think too hard about. But as season 4 quietly approached, there was a shift in the air that fans couldn't quite explain. It wasn't louder promotion or flashier trailers, it was subtler than that. Almost like the show itself was holding back, waiting for the right moment to reveal something it had been hiding for a long time. And that something turned out to be Benedict Bridgerton. For 3 seasons, Benedict existed in the background, charming, artistic, drifting from one social circle to another without ever fully committing to any of them. He wasn't burdened by duty like his older brother, and he wasn't defined by scandal like some of the others. He was likable but never essential, the kind of character you enjoyed watching but never expected to carry the emotional weight of an entire season. That's exactly why season 4 feels so unexpected. Because suddenly the story isn't about the obvious romantic lead. It's about the sibling who spent years avoiding expectations, only to find himself trapped by them. The season opens without urgency, and that's intentional. The Bridgerton household prepares for another social season, but Benedict is missing. No explanation is given right away. His absence lingers just long enough to feel strange, almost uncomfortable. When he finally reappears, something has shifted, not in a dramatic, obvious way, but in the quiet spaces between his words. His smile doesn't come as easily. His presence feels heavier, as if something has already happened off-screen that changed him before the audience even arrived. That change traces back to a single night, a masquerade that looks glamorous on the surface, but carries far more weight beneath it. Masks fill the ballroom, hiding identities and blurring class boundaries that normally feel immovable. In that brief window of anonymity, Benedict meets a woman who doesn't belong there. She has no title, no clear place in society, and no intention of being noticed beyond that moment. Their interaction is short, charged, and unresolved. Then she disappears without explanation, leaving Benedict with nothing but questions and a feeling he can't shake. At first, it seems like a familiar setup, the kind of romantic mystery Bridgerton has done before. But this time, the fantasy doesn't last. The truth about who she is and where she comes from doesn't elevate the romance, it threatens it. Sophie exists on the margins of the world Benedict was born into. Her presence in his life isn't just inconvenient, it's dangerous. Loving her doesn't lead to whispered gossip or temporary scandal, it risks real consequences.
What makes this season stand out is how patient it is with that tension. The show doesn't rush toward declarations of love or dramatic confrontations. Instead, it lets discomfort settle in. Benedict begins to realize how protected he's always been, how easily he's moved through life without questioning the system that favored him. Sophie, on the other hand, has always understood the cost of being visible. Her hesitation isn't framed as fear of love, but fear of survival. Every step closer to Benedict puts her stability at risk, and the show treats that reality with unusual restraint. Luke Thompson's performance reflects that internal struggle perfectly. Rather than playing Benedict as a transformed hero, he plays him as someone waking up slowly. There's uncertainty in his posture, hesitation in his choices. He doesn't suddenly become bold or defiant, he becomes aware. And that awareness is uncomfortable. The charm that once felt effortless now feels strained, like something he can't rely on anymore. As the season unfolds, society begins to notice, not through explosive scandal, but through subtle shifts. Invitations dry up, conversations end too quickly, eyes linger longer than they should. Rumors don't need evidence in this world, only suggestion. And once suspicion takes hold, it spreads quietly, efficiently, without mercy. Benedict starts to feel doors closing that he never realized were open only because of his name. Sophie feels the pressure even more intensely. She was never truly safe to begin with. Any association with scandal threatens to erase what little security she has. The show never turns her into a victim waiting to be rescued. Instead, it allows her to make difficult choices that don't always align with romance. Sometimes survival has to come first, and the series doesn't shy away from that truth. Even the soundtrack reflects this tonal shift. The familiar classical covers of modern songs return, but they're no longer playful background elements. They underline longing, regret, and restraint. The music doesn't celebrate romance so much as it mourns the cost of it. Fans quickly noticed how different the emotional texture felt, and many began to speculate that Season 4 was deliberately darker, more introspective than anything the show had done before. Side characters and secondary storylines echo the same themes without distracting from the core narrative. Questions of identity, class, and belonging ripple through the season. Everyone seems to be confronting the gap between who they are and who society allows them to be. There are no clear villains, only systems that enforce politeness while quietly punishing anyone who steps out of line.
By the time the story reaches its midpoint, the Masquerade no longer feels romantic in hindsight. It feels symbolic, a brief escape from reality that made returning to it unbearable. Benedict can't unsee what he's learned about himself, and Sophie can't pretend the risks aren't real. Their connection deepens, but so does the cost of maintaining it. As pressure mounts, the Bridgerton family itself becomes vulnerable. Their reputation, once unshakable, begins to feel fragile. Conversations they've avoided for years start to surface, and the comfort of silence no longer holds. The season doesn't rush toward resolution. It allows choices to sit unresolved, forcing viewers to grapple with the same uncertainty the characters feel. When the defining moment finally arrives, it doesn't come with spectacle. There's no dramatic public declaration, no sweeping gesture designed for applause. Instead, there's a quiet decision, made without witnesses, rooted in honesty rather than fantasy. The show resists the urge to promise that love fixes everything. It acknowledges that some systems don't bend easily, and some consequences don't disappear just because the intentions are pure. That's what makes Season 4 feel different from what came before. It doesn't abandon romance, but it refuses to simplify it. Benedict's story isn't about becoming a hero or defying society in a grand cinematic way. It's about accountability, about recognizing privilege, and about choosing discomfort over convenience. Sophie's story isn't about being saved. It's about being seen without a mask, even when that visibility comes at a cost. As fans continue to debate and dissect every moment, one thing becomes clear. Bridgerton has crossed a line it can't uncross. Once the masks are removed, there's no returning to easy fantasy. And whether viewers embrace that evolution or struggle with it, Season 4 proves the series is no longer content with playing it safe. It's willing to slow down, sit with tension, and trust its audience to do the same. And in a world built on appearances, that honesty might be the most radical choice of all.